All right. Well, I guess we're live right now
Yeah, someone
on
did. Yeah.
YouTube.
hmm
I am Vactor. I'm here with the Miami Vice of podcasting, Curtis Daniels, the best radio shock jock in all the land. Curtis, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I don't think anybody's ever called me a shock jock before, but we'll.
Curtis
Yeah.
is the Will Smith of this, and I am the Martin Lawrence of this. We are the bad boys of podcasting right now. I'm
No,
gonna
you're
need
the
some
Will because you're the
Skittles.
light skinned one.
Well, that actually works. But I'm about to have a panic attack because Curtis is one of my favorite people to podcast with. He's been a long time contributor, collaborator. I just need more. And I finally wore him down. This is like,
Yes, that's what you
you don't
did.
know this. You should let me post our text messages real quick. This
What are you
is
doing?
like a year of constantly Curtis, come on the show. And he finally, after numerous denials, after numerous excuses, I got to get my hair done, I got to do this, I've got to go out to Bad Boys, he finally agreed to come on the show today. So this is a monumental day in the history of my life. Curtis has come back to my show. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
The pleasure's all mine.
All right. So I couldn't think of anything else to talk to you about because there's no other things that are happening right now except for X-Men 97. That's the only Marvel thing that we got going until Wolverine and Deadpool. Actually, you know
we
what?
don't have to. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you real quick. What are your thoughts? Because you may or may not know that Curtis has a world famous show where he talked all about MCU stuff. That's why I
Used to.
associate. Well,
It's pod dead.
oh no, bring it back, Curtis. That's why I associate you with Marvel stuff, MCU stuff. But yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, you are a DC. Every now and then you slip in a little DC. You got other things that you're interested in.
Oh yeah.
But why don't you tell me? What are your thoughts on this Wolverine and Deadpool movie coming up?
Thoughts.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. It should be cool. I hope they don't go too much into the like. Well, I guess it's avoidable. Like it's going to be too meta, probably.
Did you get the don't talk on your phone thing before Bad Boys?
I did. Yeah. That was the first time I saw that. I heard about it on the internet and I had never seen it. And then I saw it and I was like, okay, this is like the third Deadpool ad I have when I'm watching this 30 minutes of trailers. Like, we need to get my movie going.
Is it overexposure for you? Is it too much Deadpool? Is it too much fourth wall breaking or
it's leaning that direction, but like I'm a built-in audience anyway, so like I know why they're doing it. I understand the business side of it.
Okay.
So it's like it's cool. I expect it to be a fun time. But it'll surprise me if there's anything like deeper going on besides just the jokes or whatever.
Actually, another thing, are you multiversed out at this point? We've gotten so
a little bit because it's in the zeitgeist, everybody doing it, I know all these stories do that, like that's just how it builds, but like we have these trends where they're doing Invincible's doing multiverse stuff,
right,
everybody's doing it, so it's just like it's all hitting at the same time, so it's like, okay, let's get this over with.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe Curtis, maybe I can wear him down to come back and talk about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Maybe.
What are your overall thoughts? We were texting week to week as X-Men 97 was airing. Now that the first season is done, now that it's out into the universe, it's into the ether, everybody can go and watch it. What did you think about the first season of this show?
Very big surprise, man. I think for all of us, nobody expected that level of quality and hookiness is what I'll say, like of wanting to see what happens next. I don't think anybody expected to be like, oh snap, I can't be spoiled on this. Like I thought we were all expecting just like some, a good nostalgic grump. We were gonna just like get our little, feel like a kid again. But then they hit us with some of that real, and I was like, oh snap. Oh,
That's
they
what I was
working.
thinking when they first announced it, X-Men 97. I was like, okay, I have some nostalgia for that original show, but I did not think it was going to be appointment television, that I was going
Hmm.
to be texting Curtis at 3 a.m. on my side because he's on the East Coast and he's 3 hours ahead. And I was working early at the time. And so I was like, all right, this is something that me and Curtis got to talk about because every episode, something was hitting. Now,
Hmm.
Curtis was not, now that I think about it, the text messages from Curtis were not all 100% fire, 5 out of 5, like I was.
They never
I
will
was,
be.
I was sizzling. I was smoking every time, and I was like, Curtis, they are not missing. I can't believe it. He was like, yeah, whatever, it's all right. And so I was like, is he watching the same show as me? Because this show is cooking.
I only
Uh,
did that. I think I only did that for the Motendo Life Death Part One nonsense. I think
which
that's the
that
only one I
felt
was like
like
that about.
out of all the episodes, that one felt like it could be a filler because it didn't
Yeah,
like you can say that it kind of pushed Jubilee's character a little bit and then maybe the Jubilee sunspot, but not really. Like if you look at the overall arc and development, they could have taken that out
they
and
could have.
not.
That's where they seeded the like Genosha stuff in there for people who hadn't watched the old show. So they did a little bit of stuff in that, but like I would have just rather it have been a whole light death, episode.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Even though I love the video game aspects of the
Hmm.
Motendo stuff, it was like splitting life death up into two parts just felt like a weird choice. I wish we could get Bo DeMeo on here and ask him what was the like genesis behind that splitting
Did
it
you
up
try to
into
text
two.
your best friend and
I
ask him to
did
get on
not.
here?
I did
You ain't
not
even
text
try.
Curtis's 1-900 OnlyFans, the best thing. I did not text him. I did not tweet at him what was the life death thing. But I did tweet at him a bunch of other things, and I was asking a bunch of stuff, and he was always gracious. He was always
Hmm.
kind and answering, and that was like my behind the scenes for this season was his Twitter account
Yeah,
as I
for a
was
lot of people.
stalking every, and that was great. In this era where we don't get those, 30-minute, hour-long documentaries that we used to get on DVDs and stuff like the behind the scenes. These have been fantastic, or having access to him as a creator
Hmm.
had been fantastic. So that was always fun. I was enjoying that ride. That's going to be the thing in season 2 that I miss the most because he was like, I can't really speak to what
No,
they're
he
doing on
can't say
season
nothing on that.
2.
No, he might get sued. They will get
So
him. He's being real
I
good. As talkative as he is, he's being real good about not getting his behind sued. I think that's very skillful on his part.
I hope we at some point get a little bit more on that. But what we got in season 1, I think, was just a really good the way to do. I'm still trying. I'm in trying to formulate this in my mind. What do you call nostalgia? Like things like this, properties from our childhood that they're bringing back today and trying to make them like a modern, like that He-Man show that they got on Netflix, The Masters of the Universe. Like they
Don't
got,
isn't the one they use like relaunches or something? Don't they say that?
yeah,
I don't
that I think that's the best probably description of it. But what did you think about this as that, like bringing something back and then modernizing it,
know.
making
Hmm.
it 2024, the current thing, almost like a in video games when you have and now I'm blanking on the term for video games, but when you take an old video game, redo the graphics
The
for the modern
remaster.
time, yes,
Yeah.
remaster it. That's almost like what they did for this, putting it into like this is what I in my mind, this is what the X-Men show looked like. And then I go back and watch the original on Disney Plus, and I'm like, this is not what I thought it was. So what do you think about it from that standpoint of like taking something from your childhood and putting it to today? How did they do? What would you what was your thoughts on that?
I think, remember when this was announced like ages ago and we were just like ready, like, oh my gosh, why is this
Was
taking
it before
forever?
COVID or was it
Mm-mm.
right after COVID?
I think it would have been around that time.
Okay.
maybe around when WandaVision was coming out, but memory. I don't know. I'm old now.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but but I say that to say, like, we were waiting for this thing to come out, and now I think you can see they put a lot of care into it because they had to
Yes.
figure out
Yes.
um, how much to lean into. Let's make it like the old thing, and then how much to pivot and be like, okay, but this aspects of the dialogue are a little updated. They're like, we can't do it the exact same way. So I think they took their time and figured out what's going to work and what are the things we can leave behind. And I appreciate that. It shows a lot of care and a lot of consideration for the fans.
Yeah. It looks like they first started talking about it in June 2019, and then they
Okay, so a
formally
little, yeah,
announced it.
before.
Well,
Wow.
they first started discussing it, and then
Hmm.
they announced it November 2021. So yeah,
Okay.
right around WandaVision, like around that time. And then you know what else I just learned was announced around that 2019 was The Acolyte, which we just got this week on Disney Plus. So a lot of these things like simmering in the background. We're finally
Hmm.
getting to them. But the landscape in 2024 is completely different. If you think about 5 years ago, what was coming out at the time, streaming services,
It
everything,
was all
it just
brand new. Oh,
and
Disney
we didn't
Plus,
have
shiny.
yes, we didn't have COVID to kind of push forward I think the death of cinema is a big like thing that a ramification of COVID was like it just kind of pushed forward the slow decline of people going to the theater. I
That's
think
fair.
COVID, yeah, like putting stuff on the streamers and making it convenient for them. It's almost like they pulled that rabbit out the hat and you can't really go back now. Now you and I, this is talking about two people who just went and saw Bad Boys in the theater, Bad Boys 4. So we're not that audience. Like I still like
I'm
seeing stuff
I'm
on a
some
big.
of that. I don't go to the
Oh,
movies that
okay,
often.
okay.
Not
Uh,
anymore.
what what made you go to Bad Boys? Are you a big
I gotta
Bad
support
Boys?
black artistry.
Well, who was the directors was the same guys that did the last Bad Boys.
Yeah, and they
Um,
did a lot of the stuff on Miss Marvel as well. They're not black, but I'm just saying, it's Will Smith and Martin.
right. Yes. And
Yeah.
I have been binging Martin recently. Um, and it's funny that like look at Martin in the early 90s and then you look at him today and some of his comedy kind of also on the show he's kind of like
Dated.
more family friendly, dated in the 90s. um Today it's kind of you look at it and they have a different viewpoint on it, but I still love Martin, the core essence of him. And seeing him on in Bad Boys, I was like, man, this is really the only thing he's got going. There's no Big
Hmm.
Mama's House coming out. There's no Big
There
Mama's
better
House
not be
5.
either. They better not.
There's no Blue Streak 2 coming out. There's no
They better not.
what else was he come? There was
He
Life
was in
7.
some of
Yeah.
everything. He made Life was great, man.
Yeah.
Had some hits
Ooh.
back in the 90s.
Yes. But yeah, I was really thinking about that as I was watching Bad Boys, like the current state of cinema and everything that's coming out. Um, what actually what do you think about Bad Boys? I'll excuse me.
Yeah, we can
I don't
pivot.
think
We
I
can go
asked
all
you
over the place. We live, baby.
that.
We can do what we want. Ain't no rules.
Tell me what you
You
thought
put the
about
freaky
Bad
you put the
Boys.
freaky Magneto poster up, but that don't mean nothing.
That's just because YouTube forces me to put the thumbnail on there. Let's make a new one and put Martin and Will Smith's face on Magneto's body and put the triple X on there. Now that'll be something.
You were asking me what I was thinking about the movie, though.
Yes. What do you think about it?
Oh, it was pretty cool. It's like in that what do you call it? Like in that Fast and Furious vein of kind of schlocky action movie. So
Which
like
that's it's crazy. Like thinking about this again, that nostalgia thing of this was Bad Boys was in the early 90s and even Fast and Furious was early 2000s.
hmm
And the evolution of this franchise and these people who I almost felt like Vin Diesel at after this after the first Fast and Furious, he was like, "Oh, I don't do sequels. I only do Riddick."
I'm
And
too good for
then
this.
yeah, then it was like, "All right, well, you got to come back to Fast because you don't got anything else."
You
That's
ain't
what
got
it
no
felt
hits.
like. Yeah,
That's exactly
um,
what happened.
that's what I. It's so weird to think about when we were growing up, I don't think we had those long-lasting franchises. Like we were watching stuff, and it was relatively new. Like the sequels that were coming out, Terminator 2, let's say, or um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Like the sequels were right back to back. It wasn't like you were taking 10 years, 20 years, and bringing these guys back. So the evolution of this action stars doing these movies into their 50s and 60s is very strange to me now as an adult in 2024. The expendables of it all, like the Bruce Willis, Stallone, Arnold, like not wanting to let go of that. And then you think about Bad Boys. This last one, this new one that just came out, I didn't feel like they looked old. It didn't look like
Oh,
they
Martin looks old,
were.
but it's fine.
Yeah, he's got some weird things going on overall with his voice is different, like he's been chain smoking or something. And he looks like he's still got the Big Mama's suit on. But
Yeah,
I
people
think
age, man. It's okay.
I think we want our action stars to always be like they look like superheroes. They look like chiseled.
Hmm.
Even Will Smith in this one, I felt like was looking a little bit older than I've seen him in previous stuff. I felt like, oh, Will Smith never ages. This one, I felt like I could see it a little bit more. But the way that they filmed it, the way that they did all the stunts and the camera work and everything, I didn't feel like it looked like they were old to me. It looked like, oh, this is just another Bad Boys movie. It looks like I'm back in 2003 or whatever
That's all
the
them stunt
second
people
one.
making that stuff look good for you.
I love it. I love it. So they did. That's just kudos to them, because I've seen stuff with like Liam Neeson where it looks like, man, he looks 100 years old. Looks like he barely jumped over that fence. So they did some great job. This is kudos to all the stunt people on this one. And
Oh yeah,
I thought the story was fun. It was fine. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but
you don't go
the
there for the story.
maybe the illegitimate son of Will Smith, the what's going on with that, and now he's got a new wife and she's young, and I like
And we
all of that.
and
I like
Reggie,
the
we don't
soap
forget about Reggie.
opera.
Sorry, we're doing spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, throw up the spoiler warning. I I like all of that kind of the carryover from the previous stuff, the previous
Hmm.
franchise stuff. Even though I wasn't up on that, I'm not the Bad Boys connoisseur, but it was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I kind of got a brief flash of um, when he was at the door and Martin and Will were like,
Messing with him, yeah.
yeah, all of that
That's the
stuff
funniest
kind of
part.
came
Like out of
back.
all the out of all the continuity, they kept that same actor from way back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
Martin's wife is different now, but they kept that same actor.
Yes. Was it Gabrielle Union in the second one?
She was
Like
in
I
two,
felt like
yeah.
she was. Yeah, was she Will
Hmm.
Smith? Was she with Will?
That's why they
Okay.
mentioned it. She was playing Martin's character's sister. That's why he mentions it at the
Oh,
wedding.
okay. Yes. Like I said, I'm not up on my Bad Boys
I got you. I just watched these like
timeline.
this week, so it's fine. We're good.
Curtis is a Bad Boys connoisseur. We know that. That's he's underneath that shirt, that San Diego shirt he's wearing right now. It says Bad Boys. You can't even see it.
It really does. I
But
got a tattoo.
I think that it's like, do you want to let go of the things that you held dear in your childhood? Like that interests me. It's just crazy to think of where we're at in 2024 and the things from our childhood
That
we
are
want
popping
to,
back.
yeah, we want to pass them down to the next generation, or we just want to hold on to them and not let go. What are your thoughts on that? Like that, it's endlessly interesting to me, that idea of, do we want something new and fresh like you've never seen before, or do you want something that feels comfortable, feels familiar to
Mm,
you? So does Bad Boys hit that spot for you of, hey, I remember that from growing up?
definitely. Yeah, that definitely. So we found the parallel between this and X-Men. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, it
X-Men same
definitely.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, it hits in kind of wave thing. It's And I think about what you were just talking about all the time as well. Like, people say they want new stuff all the time, but then new stuff comes out and then nobody goes to see it. So what do you want?
Yes. Right. Right. Yep. 100%.
So it's like,
It's
I'm
because
okay with it as long as it's well done, as long as it's not like you can clearly tell that it's just like no one put any kind of effort into it.
right feels
I'm
soulless.
usually
Like,
okay with it. Right.
yeah, right.
And
Yeah,
but
because
I
that
like also I don't have this whole weird thing with I don't have kids, so I don't have that whole thing where it's like, oh, I gotta pass this down to my,
right, right.
make them, I have friends like that are trying to make their kids like Star Wars and stuff. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
kids don't like that stuff. Leave them alone. Yeah.
That's what I named my son after a Star Wars character, so I'm not the best person to talk to about that. And I'm trying to get him into Miles Morales. Like as soon as he
Uh-huh.
can, I'm gonna be showing him all the Into the Spider-Verse movies. But I I always like I don't remember my dad doing that to me. Like I felt like when I was growing up, there was the classic stuff like Nick at Night or something. I would watch reruns and things like that. And those were things from my dad's era, but it wasn't um the Gilligan's Island reboot in the 90s. Like it wasn't trying to bring back the actors from Gilligan's Island and putting them on there. I'm sure there was examples of that like in certain things, but it wasn't like it is today where it was like there's 30-40% of the material that's coming out is something that is previous. And we could also talk about like how everything is not original IP. It's a sequel or it's based on another property or like another medium, like a video
Something
game.
from back in the day, like,
Yeah.
that we're bringing back.
So it's like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? That's on my mind constantly in this era. And it's like, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer, but when I talk to people and I'm like, what do you like and what do you watch? I'm always interested to hear their answers. So do you think about that? Do you think about original versus nostalgia? Do you think about that when you're watching your TV and your movies?
I think about it, and then but my actions always dictate that I'm going back to the nostalgia. Like I'm still doing it, so it's like, what do you like? What am I thinking about? Like they
Yeah.
making this stuff for me right now, so it's like real. It's easy,
Yeah. Well,
but
that's the
also
thing
there
too.
is, yeah.
Like
I was gonna,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like easy because it's like, for me that's who it's for. But like I can see other people, like maybe somebody younger than me, being like tired of it. Like, oh my gosh, like we
Yeah,
didn't grow up
because
with this particular thing.
right. That's another thing to think about because if you don't like I'm saying about passing it on to the next generation, if these things don't get into the hands of new people, they're gonna die. And that's 100% with comic books, where if it's just us reading the comic books over and over again, eventually you and I, well, maybe just me, Curtis gonna live forever. I'm eventually gonna die. So
Oh my
if
gosh.
everybody is reading, like all the readers and the viewers are dead, and the new people are going to, let's say, anime and manga or something instead of the traditional American comic books, then there's no audience. Then those things die off. So you have to appeal to both, I think, like to bring in the top, the most efficient way to do it is appeal to the previous generation and the next generation. So I think
If you
about that with
can. I
video
don't know if
games.
there's a way to do
Yes.
that all the time.
And that's, well, I think that's the marketers like dilemma. And we're seeing that with Star Wars right now
Mhm.
with Disney talking about, okay, you have the Skywalkers, you have the Jedi and the Sith and all those things from the classic original and prequel trilogies, but then you also have the new, like the sequel stuff. And what they tried to do with Last Jedi and Ryan Johnson was, well, it doesn't have to be about Skywalker. It doesn't have to be about this, the endless cycle between the Jedi and the Sith. There's other things in the universe. And then we had that backlash of, well, now you can't do that. Now we got to go back to the the next movie, turn back to the Skywalkers and all that. But anyways, Disney, I think it's like they're trying to, and it makes sense as a business. Obviously, they're trying to make the most money they can because if they don't make money, then they die, and then you don't have any more
Mhm.
Disney. So, as a business, I understand business decisions, but like everybody, and I see this in my YouTube comments all the time. just give me a good story. I don't care about the gender politics. I don't care about woke, and I don't care about all this stuff. And to me, I'm like, okay, well, all that stuff, first of all, matters. The good story matters. Um, Diversity, appealing to everyone matters. Giving my son something of representation so that he sees himself on the screen. Yes, that is important. It's not 100% only. I only care about story, and I don't care about the gender politics or the racial diversity. It's the same argument of I don't see color. That's the same thing I
Yes.
hear over and over again. And some people just don't get it. It's like it they're so dense and they just cannot understand that concept. And
Hmm.
in 20 I don't think I've talked to you about this before. It's like in 2024, it is so surprising to me that this is still a conversation that we're having. I'm thinking in the 90s, in third grade, I was thinking like, oh, that's over. There is no more racism. I don't have to worry about that. That was stuff in the 50s and the 60s that I don't have to worry about. Little did I know in 2024, I'm still over here talking about it. So that stuff just
In some ways,
blows my
I
mind.
would even argue in some ways in the '90s we had a little more leeway. I'm gonna say that.
That actually,
Because
now that
we
I
were
think
just
about
talking
it,
about
yeah.
how like
Yeah.
many movies Martin led back in the day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
another thing.
so
Although
I would argue that even back,
I was gonna say, how many were behind the camera? I mean, I think about Spike Lee and John Singleton,
yeah,
but
right. That's the other thing.
how
Hmm.
many writers? How many producers? Like that's the stuff we don't see behind the
That's
camera.
right.
So
Just the
we got to
lucky
get both.
ones.
Yeah, we got to get both. We got to get
Hmm.
them in front of the camera. We got to get them behind the camera. So to me, that's like when people are like, "Oh, I hate thinking about being woke, and I hate thinking about they're forcing diversity on us." And I'm like, and they're like, "Well, Disney has these agendas." And my response to them always is, "Well, yeah, why do you think they have those agendas? Why, like, if they didn't have that, then what would you get?" And their response always back, "Oh, it would be better because we wouldn't see color." And it's like,
Well,
I
so the
can't.
thing that's been interesting, bringing it back to X-Men, is
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't, but maybe my stuff is curated, so I don't see this stuff. But I don't think I saw too much of that this time around, and that whole thing was nothing but what we're just talking about.
The only thing I
So
saw was Morph, the non-binary when they
okay, so
had come
people
out
got
and
on
said
that.
Morph. Yeah, that was the only thing I saw. But I'm trying to better curate my feed so I'm
Yeah,
not seeing a lot
yeah.
of this stuff because
Hmm.
yeah, it gets exhausting. But yeah, I think you're right. I didn't see it as much this time for X-Men
So I don't know
97.
if people are
So
like
that was good.
willfully ignorant or like they missed some of the stuff that was happening.
Right.
But either way, that worked out. So whatever was in that secret sauce, like I don't know, let's figure out if we can bottle it and
Yeah,
get into the
and
other stuff.
I'm on Threads from time to time now, and
Oh,
I'm
you're the
seeing a
one
lot
user.
more I'm seeing a lot more positivity on Threads than I am on these other social media platforms. And around X-Men, every week it was a love fest. And it was like, man, this feels good to be on social media. I'm
Hmm.
getting all these people that are positive. They're talking about how they're loving X-Men, they're loving the story, they're loving the representation, they're loving the diversity and everything. And I'm actually starting to see that a little bit with Acolyte now that has started to come out. And then I go back to my YouTube comments, and it's like 99%, this is garbage, this is woke, this is and it's like, man, this is exhausting to try to get sift through all of that. But
I
I'm starting
understand. Yeah.
to tell YouTube, don't recommend me those channels that the the thumbnail is like, Disney's killing Star Wars, everything is
Yeah, you
garbage,
got to
everything
stop
is.
clicking on it,
I never click it. I don't know why I get
man. You
sent
ain't got to
it,
lie to
but
me, Craig.
there's a there's these little three dots, so you can say don't recommend that channel. So I've been doing that, trying to curate my feed a little bit better. But the the one thing I was also thinking about for X-Men 97, what did you think about the voice cast, the ones that came back, the
Uh
original
huh.
people,
So
the
what we had like Rogue, Storm, and
Wolverine.
Beast. No,
Yeah,
what Beast was
Beast.
different.
No,
Was
it was
Beast
it
the
was the
same
same
or
guy.
different?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then
Um,
uh, and then
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yeah. Now the guy who did Cable was Gambit
He
in the
used to do
original. Yeah.
Gambit.
So
Yeah.
he changed his voice a little bit. But what did you think about oh, I just now saw we've been getting a bunch of comments and they're all pro Curtis. So just so you know, Curtis. Oh,
I'm
and
dissing threads.
I'm gonna die. And I don't care about gender politics. That's
Hi,
Wonder
Wonder
Rob.
Rob.
But I think the the thing that got me about the original voices was I could tell that the 30 years of life that has happened to all of these actors, it they didn't hit the pitch, and especially when you have the original on Disney Plus that you can go back to and you can hear their voices, and they just feel like they're young and spry and they're ready to jump out and take over the world. And then these guys are kind of like a little bit slower. Obviously, I understand it's real life; they have age. But what did you think about the voices? Did you notice some of the
No,
age from the
Vactor's
West?
ages. Everybody heard it just now. Vactor said, Vac
I
Daddy
hate
said, you can't be
old
coming up in
people.
here with your old behind. Yeah.
I'm old and I hate myself.
You know, it did take some getting used to. I think the two I was surprised that were returning. What when I heard them in the trailer, especially was Rogue and Wolverine, because those did
Mm.
not sound exactly the same, and I was like, oh, those are the same people. That's surprising. Uh, but like once I got used to it, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was like whatever, this is what their voice sounds like now. Sometimes, my voice be jacked up, all throughout the week.
In 30
My voice
years.
will sound several different ways. I'm on the air every. For those who don't know, I'm not trying to be a person, but like I'm on the radio, morning radio, and so my voice will sound different from one day to the next. And so I understand you get older, man. It just happens, and so you can't. It's hard to hit that exact timbre of your voice that you used to be.
Yeah, and I think about with music too, like singers that have long
It's
careers
the
and
same
you
thing.
hear
Yep.
and especially when they're using it so often, like when they're singing and
hmm
performing all the time. Same thing with these voice actors. It's like the voice is an instrument, and it's like if you're using it so much, eventually it's going to wear down. But I I'm kind of 50-50 on them bringing those guys back versus just casting new people, because it does have the nostalgia of the original characters and stuff. But I think it's interesting with the Gambit change, with them bringing in that actor. And then the other one was Jean Grey. The original Jean Grey played
hmm
the blonde reporter, the one that was like
Valerie.
the
Oh no,
mag-
Trilby.
yeah,
Trish
yeah.
Trilby. Her
No,
trick
not
ass.
her.
I'm sorry. I
You're
didn't mean.
right. Well, her too, but the Magneto was right. She was the original Jean Grey,
Oh,
and then they
Valerie
brought
Cooper did.
in, yeah.
Okay.
But tell us more about the trick, Curtis. Tell us more about the
No, Trish Trilby. She
tell us
got on my
more.
nerves. She was trying me. 'Cause I didn't like the way she was messing with. I didn't like the way she was
That
messing
was
with Beast. I'm gonna be honest with
Yeah,
you.
that was Beast Boo. That was Hank's
Yeah, don't play
squeeze.
with my dog
Although
feelings.
not in this show. It didn't seem like it. Like she's from the comics. They're an item in the comics, but in this show it was kind of
It was
downplayed.
teased that they was doing little flirties. She was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Beast, I like the way you wear them drawers outside," and then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm blushing."
they I think they were moving so fast and there was so many things they were
There's a
going
lot.
through. They didn't have time for that. But there was, speaking of the flirty, there was some great relationships that we got to
hmm
in this whole thing, from Cyclops, Madeline, um, even Emma's had got a little. She had a little
She
thing in
got a
the
little spicy in
background.
there. You had
But
the
Magneto,
Magneto,
Gambit,
Gambit, Rogue Triangle.
Rogue.
Yep. You
There
got
was
Morph over
all
there
these.
simmering, pining in the background.
Yes,
Wolverine looking at Jean flirting with Wolverine. Like it's a lot of stuff, which is it's
and
messy, and that's the core of X-Men. And I'm glad somebody
yes,
understands that finally.
that was
It
actually,
needs
you
to be
know
a
what?
messy
I think
soap opera.
that 100% is the biggest win of X-Men 97, was that they took the feeling of X-Men and that messy soap opera and put it, out there for
Hmm.
for people who are not fans of X-Men, or if you're
Or only know
just
the
fans.
movies.
Yes, if you only know the movies, you only know the animated show, and you didn't read the comics. This is the comic. Like, this is the X-Men. This is a soap opera of 30, 40, 50 years of Marvel Comics, and they did that. Was what I was really happy with, because you try to go for the action, but then you get sucked in by the
Oh, I
um
loved
the
all the mess. I
the
wanted more mess
drama.
by the end. I was like, oh my God, where is the
Well, that
mess?
was what we text about. That was our text chain, was all about, oh, he did this to her. Oh, she did this to this. And that was that was that was you and I's text message conversation was as enjoyable as me Twitter stalking Bo DeMeo. It brought another level, and I wish everybody could have been in on that. That I just enjoyed seeing all of that. Curtis is calling out Beast underwear, so we got that going for us.
Well, that's what he
I
wears, Wonder Rob. What do you want? He go outside in his drawers.
Somebody was talking about that, the hanger sequence when they had everybody's clothes. The
Oh yeah,
girls
yeah,
had
yeah.
wigs, and I think somebody had made up a meme or something of what Hank's would have been. It just would have been underwear. Like, Hank doesn't have like the full
He
suit.
ain't have no new
Uh,
costume.
but that was great too, getting all of those classic costumes from the
Hmm.
X-Men and seeing all of that. There was so much care that was, you could tell that these creators cared about the source material. They cared about all of these characters, and that's what you want. I think that you're in good hands when you're relating to what they're putting out there, and the things that I think you're thinking about, then you see it on the screen. I always love feeling like we're in good hands with these creators. So that
Hmm.
all of that stuff was great. The animation for this, I talked about it earlier, night and day compared to the original animation, where it felt like they were reusing backgrounds and
Well, because
just
sometimes they had to back in the day. They did not have money to do it back in the, and they were reusing actual scenes. Like back in the day, they did not have money. Uh,
I wonder what the inflation adjusted budget for this, how much money they got for this versus how
oh
much money they
wow,
got for the original.
yeah, that'd be
Wonder
good to
Rob, look that
see.
up for us. Get back to us. I think that would be interesting. Was there anything that stood out to you besides the life death thing, of maybe if we had just gotten that as one episode? Was there anything that stood out to you that they could have did better, or you did not like this version of it or this take on it
I
that you
don't
can
know if
think
there
of?
was anything I straight up didn't like. There's just some plot things maybe that could have been better, but also I understand like we were limited on episode in time, right? And
Right.
so there were things like I still don't exactly know how Magneto survived. Okay, so Magneto's alive some kind of way. I don't know what was up with the freaky ass shaving. Why is the wise man's in his drawers? Like, what are we
I'm
doing?
still
I need
wondering
more
that
information.
too.
I'm still
Yes.
wondering. Wonder Rob, do you know? Because you got Wonder in your name. Um, I don't.
Oh man.
Not that I'm hating, I just don't understand why we had to strip my dog down and had him going
Oh
to the
man.
North Pole, all your booty out. You know what we boot? You can't have the booty out in the North Pole. Uh,
Yes.
so I'm trying to figure out like all that stuff. Like, what was the actual ultimate plan? Like, save Valerie Cooper never, even outside of okay, how was Magneto alive? If Valerie Cooper never let that man go, what would have been the? What were we trying to do? What were we trying to accomplish?
Right. Yeah, I was kind of
Um,
curious about that.
And then also, why did we show certain people in the future at the end? And then, like, we left, we don't know where Morph, Wolverine, and Storm ended up. Um,
I wonder if that plot line is going to get wrapped up in the first story arc, like let's say first 3 episodes, or is that going to be the entire season? Are they going to be the apocalypse, future, past, present timeline? I
hmm.
wonder how long that's going to go for this
The way the
season.
show is paced, it could go either way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I could see that.
and then what's the last thing I will is just a minor little nitpick is just like why didn't Storm get a everybody got a major like kind of action scene um at the end and Storm didn't get nothing and that was a little
Because
upsetting to me.
I felt like they set that up with give them the forecast, and like setting her up to be
They
this
showed all her
omega
stuff early.
level. Yeah, I thought, oh, if we're getting this early, well, wait till we get to the end. Wait till we get to the finale. And I kept waiting for her to be the one to say, like the Deus Ex Machina, like how are they going to stop Bastion, right? Like how is this going to happen? And I was like, oh no, Storm's still out there. She's still out there. Oh, okay. She did not use her omega level abilities
I don't
on
even
that.
think we got a. Did we might have. No, we got one lightning strike or something. Did we? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, it was
I know
something
she
in the
used the
air.
tornado to try to hold the asteroid
Yeah.
up when it was falling.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, they should have used her more. Wonder Up says that he knows. I don't even remember what we were asking him, but he knows.
Oh, about the
Uh,
inflation of the stuff.
oh yes,
From
yeah. Rob, give us some concrete numbers, and then tell us about Beast Booty Out. All right, I think the way that they ended it was like a really good cliffhanger. You want to know what's going to happen next. Like that was the way to do it. And they wrapped up Bastion in a way that I was like, okay, how, I always go into these finales and it's like the bad guy or whoever it is so overpowered. How are they going to stop him? That was wrapped up in a nice way to me. Like it made sense. It wasn't anything that was out of left field or anything.
they did go a little far into the we're using the power of love-ish stuff on that, but like whatever, I let it slide.
Well, also
Let it slide.
with Bastion, it was funny because when he had all those human sentinels and Magneto shut him down with the worldwide EMP, I was like, he's out here killing all these people. Like he's killing all these humans. But I think the way that they set it up or the way that they displayed it, it was like, oh no, he just shut him down for a little bit and they'll be back. Some of the people died, but not everybody. Like not every
Yes, some
person
of
who
that is
was a
iffy.
sentinel.
I didn't understand all the rules to that, but I
They
don't
didn't
really need
have,
to. But like some of it
yeah,
was
they
it
did.
because like you saw like them getting cut up and those people still around. Like what did we do?
That's that.
Uh,
See, if they didn't have that, it would have been a lot easier to explain. But the thing with the
mm-hmm.
people's heads getting cut off and like they, I thought they were like, oh, they've stepped over the line. Now it's like you can't come. They've crossed that point of no return. You can't come back after guys' heads getting cut off. That he's a robot. He's not a human anymore. So, 100 is the number that Rob says. So I don't again, I don't remember the question,
I don't know what
but
that means.
the answer is 100 and Beast is thick.
Beast
So
is
those are
thick.
the
Okay.
answers that Wonder Rob gives us. Yeah, I liked the we didn't even talk about the Charles Magneto Magnus relationship, the Charles and Space Queen relationship, the Space Bird. There was a ton of different kind of, and even Nightcrawler Rogue, like being the sister kind of stepsister
Brother thing. Yeah, that
relationship.
was cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. And all of this emotion was well done. It wasn't anything that felt like shortchanged or they didn't give us the proper time. All of this stuff was dealing with Rogue's grief over Gambit. Like all of those things I thought were well done. And again, a testament to the creators and the writers, everybody that was behind the scenes. The story was crafted well done and much more than we thought going into this.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
Curtis.
no way did I expect to see the like genocide of Genosha on
Oh,
this
yeah,
here TV show. I did that came out
right,
of left field for me. And I was
right.
like, okay,
That was, I think that was the apex of this, the
yeah.
remember it episode.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, it was really hard to top that. Does this give you any joy, or does this give you any good anticipation for this Spider-Man show that's coming up this freshman year, which is also supposed to be under this new Marvel animation banner that they got going
Oh
on?
yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
coming, I think,
interested
this
in it.
year.
I'm
What you
interested
think?
in it. I like all the cartoon stuff. I think you know, animation gets a bad rap. It gets you can do a lot more with it. You don't have to worry about actors being mad that you know we have to be blue, even though the character's blue all the time. So you have to write a thing and the thing. So now that they you know don't have to be blue all the time, you don't have to
Right,
deal with
right,
stuff like that.
right. The
So I
Jennifer
think you can
Lawrence in the makeup, yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence or Nick Holt too, and the
Yes,
later
right,
you know
right,
those
yeah.
they had to make a little serum. Oh, he can turn it on like the Hulk now. Like get out of my face.
Because you got like a
Uh,
unlimited budget on animation.
Yeah, you can just do the thing. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know people are mad that it's not the '90s one, but like everything can't be nostalgia. Like let's let them do a little new Spider-Man thing, and we'll see how it is. And then if it's bad, then
Yeah.
I'll start talking my mess.
What'd you think about What
Yeah.
If? I don't know if you ever talked to me about What If
What if I
as
like
a
for the
whole.
most part? I remember for this most recent season, it didn't click for me until like a few episodes in.
Mm.
Um, I can't remember which episode was it where I was like, "Oh, I like this now." I think it was probably the one, and I'm blanking on the new character's name, Kahari, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, Curie or yeah,
I
I know
can't
who you're
remember.
talking
See,
about.
that's
The Native
bad.
American girl.
Right.
Let me look her up
Yeah,
here.
but when that one came out, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm back on it." And so, like from that point on, then I was like into the
Kahorti.
second season.
Yes.
Yeah, there we
Which I
go.
thought she was gonna show up in Echo because that actor that voiced her
Right,
is in
Boyster.
Echo. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I thought she was gonna be like the live action version of that, but
And they said,
man,
"Nope,
the MCU is struggling right now.
they'll be hype."
The problem with What If is it's all dependent on the premise, the idea. And that was the same thing like with the comic book. It's like if you're not interested in that what if story, that scenario, then it's kind of boring and it doesn't mean
Hmm.
anything to you. You just all right, I didn't like this one. Let me go to the next one. But that second season, I didn't feel as connected as the first season where it was all building to that Strange
Right.
Supreme and he had
Which
all that
was
stuff.
a strength and also a weakness of that first season because it's like, well, what if doesn't need that it's not all connected,
Right,
but also as a
right.
person that likes serialized stories, I was into it. So,
Yes,
so I was like,
yes.
okay.
All of that.
And they still
All
at
of
the end of
that.
this one still kind of did it, but
Yeah,
whatever.
right, right. Man, Curtis Daniels is the best radio DJ, talk show host. He's the best podcaster. He's the best texter. If you ever want a great guy to talk to, look no further than Curtis Daniels. He is the Martin to my Will Smith. Curtis, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for letting me wear you down and finally joining me
Don't say
again.
that phrasing. Vac Daddy phrasing.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I cannot stress to you how much I enjoy having you on here. And I hope that you
This
have a
man
good
said
time
letting me
too.
wear you down.
So I hope Curtis can come back in the future because he
Not
is
after that, I'm
always
not.
he's always a great time. Do you have anything to plug? Do you want to tell everybody where you're at or you don't care?
I mean, I don't got no podcast. Like if you're interested in some morning radio from from South Florida,
Here we go.
you can if you're up from 6 to 10 on Eastern time, you can listen to the Mo and Sally show on iHeartRadio. So just put that in there.
DJ
And that's
Curtis.
what I do.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
the
And
best.
so that's about it.
All
We
right.
the mediocre.
That is the best place to end it. We are the Mediocre Podcast. This comic cooks. All right.